Good morning, everybody. So I figured I'd let you watch my Valley Wake Up while we have a small talk. And I kind of think we need to talk about it. So no matter what community you're in, there's toxicity. There's some bad people in there. There's some people spouting some stuff. I'm going to specifically be talking about the witchy community and the pagan community, specifically the Norse, because they're having some issues right now. And here's the thing. The issue that's going on that I'm seeing the most right now within the Norse community, this back and forth, is about the symbols, the rune symbols, and some of the bind runes and staves and things of that nature. And if you have not been on this path for a while, so I'm going to call you the new generation. Doesn't mean that you're young, doesn't mean that you're old or anything like that. That's not what this is. We're talking about new to the path versus old. I'm old. And Norse is not my only path. I'm a folk practitioner, so I have a blending of a lot of different things, but I've studied a lot of different things over the decades. And this argument is not new. It's new for the moment, but it's not new. It keeps coming up. I kind of feel it's almost like a decade thing for most of these arguments and crazy fighting toxic crap. It just keeps circling back around. And maybe that's because we're taking the same approach. We feel that when these things come up, some people get really angry and mad and start yelling and shouting. Some people take the whole education route. Well, we've got to educate people. We've got to put it out there, and we've got to tell them what these books say and how we've used this and what it means at its core and stuff. But here's the thing, when we're talking with somebody, if we take the approach of teacher and we are giving information in the form of a lesson, a lecture, or anything like that, the person receiving that will put up a defensive wall. We're trying to do this. We're trying to do this in school and every other thing. So our mindset goes to a different place when we think we are consuming a step-by-step kind of lesson plan, a lecture, something of that nature. So it is our logical brain that clicks on, tunes in, and focuses. I challenge a different approach. Let us stop doing it in the way of trying to teach somebody and, a lecture to them or anything of that nature. Instead, share your experiences. Share what those symbols mean to you, how you use them, why they're important to you. A personal approach. Because when we start telling a story, when we start giving our personal experience, and that's all we're doing is sharing our personal, a different part of the brain clicks on. The creativity, the inspiration, they're telling me a story. That's what clicks on. And so the way that person receives that information is completely different. They're not trying to analyze it and be logical about these things. They're not trying to fit it in boxes. Instead, they're listening to, this person's telling me what this means to them personally, not what it means to everybody or what it should mean to me. They're talking their own stories. I think this is how we can battle most, if not all, toxicity in all of the different ways in our community. If we are not telling somebody how to do something, and we are just telling them how we are doing something, we're sharing our story, It's a different way that people receive it. Thus, instead of taking the information at the face value of what you're giving or what they find when they dig deeper in their research and all that, instead, they're being inspired. Oh, this is how they see that. And so you're not giving them what to do. You're giving them inspiration to dig deeper, to see, what does that hold for me? Or is there something there for me? Or maybe it's just inspiration of, oh, that's really cool. Never going to be my thing, but that's really cool. And in that way, you are teaching somebody, but without the whole rigmarole of boxing them in and teaching them the way that our minds think. If we're sharing our personal experiences, our personal thoughts, our personal theories, then nobody can really argue with that. I mean, I'm sure some will try. Trolls are everywhere. But the majority won't, for the simple fact that you're not telling them this is how it is, or this is truth, or this is, the only thing, or this is how you have to do something. No, you're sharing a story. And so they receive it completely different. It's there to inspire. It's there to just show people how we're doing things. We're not telling them what to do. We're showing them how we do something. We need to start thinking about the way that we do this, the way that we are teaching, in little quotations, because our journeys are going to be different. We need to find different things. Some things are going to work for you. Some things aren't going to work for you. Some things are going to vibe. Some things are going to be like, well, that was really cool, but hey, it's not my thing. I'm not going to do it. That's fine. And I want to hear people's personal stories. I want to know how they're connecting with divine. I want to know what their communication looks like. I want to know the messages they're getting. I want to know what kind of magic they're practicing. I want to know what kind of things are important in their practices. What is for them? What are they creating? What are they doing? That to me is more interesting than giving me stacks and stacks of books or hours and hours of classes and lectures and all that. Because it's real. When we're sharing stories, it's real. And a quote that I tell my kids, I tell everybody, it's something that I really truly believe, and I've said it on here before. There is truth in all stories, but there is no story that is true. And if you think about it in the way that perspective works, if you think about it in the way how history is written works, if we think about it in magic and spirituality, it all works that way because we have our own truths, our own perspectives, our own paths, our own things that we're seeing and experiencing. So think about it. We could end a lot of this toxic stuff if we stop trying to tell people how to do something or tell people what something means and has to mean and all that. And stop telling it in that way. Tell it in the way of what it means to you. Tell it in a way of how you see that, how you use that, the reasons why, maybe for you. Let's end the toxic stuff. We can do this together. All we have to do is just share our own stuff.